Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving back into the 10-star Kizuna clash against Neko and Inu that will be arriving in about a day and a half now, and I've got a couple of one-team versus all for you guys. Now, with this particular type of Kizuna, you really don't want to be using potions, so you really want to be building up your assists as much as possible, so utilizing something like the Suicide Strat to build yourself and your alliance assists up as quickly as possible is definitely the way to go, and hopefully these one team versus alls for you guys that use a PERESPERO friend captain will get you the most tickets, so that way you guys can reach box 7 nice and easy. Now, if you guys don't know what the Suicide Strat is, basically you just dive in with your highest point boosted team, whether you have PERESPERO or Jack or not. Try and bring a friend captain PERESPERO for your runs, and then you just leave the quest. Request an assist, and every 15 minutes, you can do an assist yourself, and that actually gives you and whoever you assist the same reward. So make sure you guys are staying on top of that, and hopefully one of these 4 teams that you guys can put together will actually help you guys out. We are using a PERESPERO for every single one of these fights. The team that I did put together in my Marco video, I'll leave a link in the description for that. If you guys want to farm up with XP with Marco, it's a good time to do that. But I did do a one team versus all at the back end of that video, and I wanted to touch on that team again and talk about another option that doesn't use PERESPERO as your friend captain. So that's also a lot of fun. But as you guys can see on screen, huge shout out to the Twitter. I'll leave a link in the description again for the OPTC Twitter. This is basically what the quest does. And if you are building your own one team versus all, you want to make sure that you're using strength decks and quick characters that are either driven or strikers. That's the best way to go about it. Free spirits and slashes also helps. You can sprinkle them in. As you guys will see in one of my teams, it actually works out quite nicely for the free spirit class. But either way, you will be basically getting cooldowns as long as you bring those particular characters. So, before I dive in as well, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. Help out the YouTube algorithm as well. Let me know in the comment section below, are you excited for this 6+ CatDog? The first dual unit 6+. I know a lot of people are very excited. And if you guys are using one of these teams, give me a yes or a no or a hell yeah or a hell nah in the comment section below for that as well. So, let's take a look at the first team. This was the team I put together and was in the Marco video. It does use PERESPERO as a friend captain, and this particular team should take care of all of the debuffs fairly nicely. Nami doesn't get cooldowns for the strength decks and quick variation. However, on that particular stage, when you pass the turn, you get 5 turns of paralysis, which Nami just gobbles up, and that'll just give her like 30 turns of charge, which will give you her special, which works great. For this particular team, basically you want to pop PERESPERO on stage 2 every single turn, and then you want to pass a turn. On stage 2, if you just pass the turn, the enemy retreats, and then you can move on to the final stage. When the enemy retreats, though, they do a certain amount of shenanigans. For the first variation, which is quick, you get Blind and Despair. For strength, you get paralysis and attack down. And for int, you get attack down, special reverse, and you get the lock specials, which is a little bit annoying. But with PERESPERO, you don't have to worry about the special reverse. With the attack down and the Blind and Despair, we have Uta, who actually gets cooldowns on 2 of the fights because she's a free spirit and a quick. But for the quick variation, she does not. So that's why the Mr. 3 support is there. Works out quite nicely. Nami also gives cooldowns, so be mindful of that as well. I don't think Nami gets, like, boosted charge, but look, she might. So this team should work fine. X-Ray's our attack booster. He's our chain boundary unit as well. We have orbs with PERESPERO. We have the chain multiplicative buff with Vivi and Rebecca, as well as the special bind removal with them. You could use maybe something like Karasu for the special bind removal and cooldowns. That could definitely work here. Or another special bind removal will definitely work as well. The idea of them is basically just to get around special bind, 5 turns of it. Kid is a orb booster. He's also a color affinity boost. But look, Vivi Rebecca will take that spot when you do have the special bind. Because I think there's a special bind on 2 of the stages. It's over here on int. And then there's also special binds over here on strength. So I have another variation of this particular team, and I'm going to show that now. So this is the other variation, and this particular variation doesn't actually use a PERESPERO friend captain. We are using Yamato with the PERESPERO support for strikers, and basically what that's going to do is it's basically just going to lock the orb on like Yamato or Nami. Potato, really. You actually can use Nami as your captain, and then like run Yamato as a friend captain if you guys are struggling. That actually might work a little bit nicer, so that way then you don't have to worry about losing like a Wano orb, like you can like bring back a tandem orb no matter what with Nami. But remember, like you do get super block orbs on one of the stages, so like you're not going to be able to get through it anyway, and you're not going to be able to get Nami's super tandem ability for that particular fight anyway. But this particular team can actually get the super tandem of Nami, which actually works out like pretty nice. With the addition of Zoro on the team, it is super fun. However, you do want to actually make sure that Zoro is not on that side, because Zoro's not going to get fully boosted under Nami or under Yamato. But the upside here is that you can actually access that super tandem ability. Zoro also removes the special bind. He gives an orb boost as well, which is nice. It just means that you don't have the clash of the orb boost and the attack boost that you would get from Vivi Rebecca for 2 of the stages. You could use something like Shiki here instead if you have them level limit break 5. But I just wanted to touch base on this particular team for you guys and show that there are other options if you guys don't or you can't find a PERESPERO friend captain. Ideally, though, you want to be running a PERESPERO whenever you can. Especially when you are doing your own suicides. If you want to run your own fights, go for it, but you really want to be putting up assists for your team members, so make sure you're using the suicide strat when you can find PERESPERO friend captains. If you have an abundance of them, or you're continually resetting, this particular team might be the one that's one for you. Just like Nami, Kid's really, really good, because with his level limit break, he can get around the damage reduction and the threshold, as long as he has a bomb slot. And on one of the stages, there's 6 turns of damage reduction, 4 turns of damage reduction, and then there's also threshold, so Kid can remove that, and with his level limit break, he's a driven booster. Killer can help him get around the 6 turns. And then just like PERESPERO, you can actually get you can build out a full driven team. Blackbeard's great to get around the special bind. He gets around the defense up on the final stage as well. He's also a conditional booster, which is really, really fun. Orochi is an orb booster and a color affinity booster, but you don't really need him too much because you have options like Dofi, you have options like Kainu, and you can just bring another color affinity booster. You can actually just use Rare Recruit Orochi here. He's a 2.25 color affinity booster for Driven. Dofi's great because he'll help you take down stage 2, but once it starts to get a little bit harder, you might need him for his base stats and his chain boost, and then use like PERESPERO on the final stage. But because this is just like a regular Kizuna, it's not a super boss, not too many people will be going crazy high Kizuna levels, so you won't have to worry about it too much. Using a Kainu on the final stage will give you like orbs, give you a chain lock at 3 times, which is awesome, and will also give you an orb buff. However, with this particular team, you really want to use PERESPERO on the first variation. So if we take a look at the infographic again, against the quick variation, we want to use PERESPERO here and kill, so that way we can tank the 80k. But on these other 2 stages, you basically just want to pass the turn. Like, you get attack down and paralysis on this particular stage. Actually, no, you actually want to kill. I take it back. You want to kill basically every single one of these stages, otherwise you will be stuck with that attack down. And you'll be stuck with the paralysis. So with this particular setup, we do want to actually kill all stages. So PERESPERO is going to be used basically for the verse quick variation. You want to use the PERESPERO special here so you get around the super block orbs. Very important that you do that, but ideally you want to save PERESPERO for these other 2 fights for the other stage. On this strength variation, you can use a Kainu here to get around the chain growth. So when you see that chain growth multiplier, that's where you want to use a Kainu. When you see the increased damage taken, that's where you want to use PERESPERO. And then make sure you guys are using the super type of Kid on stage 1 every single turn. The idea of using Kid on stage 1 means that you guys can actually get yourself a super bomb orb, mainly for the int variation. If you don't have a super bomb orb, you're basically going to get a rainbow slot and you're not going to be able to get around the damage reduction. So be very, very careful there, and make sure you are using Kid to give you that super bomb, and just make sure you hang on to that for the final fight. Ideally on turn 2, like when you kill the turtles, like PERESPERO is going to give you a full board of orbs no matter what. You just need to make sure that you have a super bomb slot on Kid. Like, it's that is the most important part. So make sure you're using that super type every single turn. As I mentioned, this team should work easily up to level 30 and beyond. But once you sort of start talking about like level 50 and whatnot, it might struggle. The next team was built by Kruby and Porky. So shout out to them, 2 of my alliance members. This particular team is actually really fun because it's a striker-centric team that actually utilizes the Germa ship. Germa gives 2 turns of cooldown as long as you have 1 of every color, and this particular team actually manages to get it done. Once again, we have Nami as our captain, and we're bringing a friend PERESPERO. I kind of wailed out their particular build. I added stuff like Brook and Queen They're not essential. They're just there because they give you more damage. But the one that is essential is the Mr. 3 support. Unfortunately, you do need that support for the final stage. That way you can actually get the cooldowns required for Kid. Because he doesn't get cooldowns on this particular stage against Strength, you will need to make sure that you actually get the cooldowns. With this build, though, you'll only be killing on stage, the quick stage. The rest of these fights, you really don't have to worry about at all. Mainly because this particular Kuzan, the one that came out with Sengoku, can actually remove attack down as well. Super nice that he does that. It means that you can actually just avoid doing any damage and just pass the turn on the strength and the int one. So when you see the increased damage, that's when you want to use PERESPERO. For the other two fights, you basically just want to pass the turn, and then you can use all your specials on the final stage. But Nami will get cooldowns thanks to the paralysis that gets inflicted. She's going to be your chain booster. She removes threshold. She removes damage reduction. She gets her super class as long as you use 4 specials. You have special bind removal with Kuzan, as well as attack down removal, damage reduction removal with Vivi Rebecca. You have a orb boost and attack boost with Yamato and Kid. You have chain shenanigans. You have chain boundary. Like, this team literally has it all. And this particular team should do bits. Like, it should be able to kill moving into the very high stages. So if you guys are struggling for a team, if you do find, like, level 50 plus, and you can build out this team, like, this team will work for a very, very long time. So shout out to Kruby and Porky. The final team that I put together was originally designed around Dylan OPTC on Twitter. So shout out to Dylan. I'll leave the link in the description because I think I stuffed him up last time. And I linked someone else's. So apologies about that, Dylan. Great team builder over on the Japanese side. I did tweak his team just a little bit, but I did see that he had the original idea of using Kaido. And that's where I kind of got the inspiration for this particular team. Again, we're running a full striker build. And the idea of this particular team is to use PERESPERO on every single stage 2. But we are going to pass the turn on every single stage 2, except for the quick one once again. Now, the reason that we're going to be doing that is because we don't want to get the super block slot. So very important that what we actually do here is we use Kaido's super type ability on stage 2 for pretty much everyone. And then we actually want to use the special of PERESPERO to get that super orb block. So that way we just can't get the super block slots. And we still get the super tender of Kaido because we're actually utilizing Queen. Queen can get around damage reduction, which is great. We get around the attack down and the paralysis that's inflicted with the waifus. They're a color affinity booster. Croc can get around the chain multiplicative debuff. Ace Yamato gives us cooldowns. PERESPERO gives us cooldowns. We have chain boundary. We have an attack booster with Ace Yamato as well. We have color affinity with a color affinity buff with Whitebeard and Roger as well. So that's always fun. The Mihawk support will help you get cooldowns, but I think if you use Odin, you should be able to get the cooldowns as well. You have a lot of cooldowns with this team. Like, waifus give 1 with their Sailor, they give 1 with their special. Ace Yamato give 2, PERESPERO give 2, the ship gives 1, sockets give 2. Like, you have a lot of cooldowns. I think you just have to hit a good on one of the stages that you get the special lock. And for this particular team, you literally have everything as well. You have a super tandem, you have color affinity, orb boost, increased damage taken, conditional boost, base stats, chain boundary. Like, yeah, you have a lot going for you with this particular team. And this team should do absolute bits as well. Super Tandem Kaido doing Super Tandem things when it comes to 10-star events. If you can use him in Kizuna, you must use Kaido. You guys know the law. So hopefully these one team versus alls help you guys out. All using PERESPERO friend captains, as I mentioned. But if you guys are struggling, you definitely can use this original team sort of here with Nami as your captain, obviously. Not Yamato. You want to make sure that that's Nami. And yes, I actually did pill PERESPERO. Shocker, shocker, right? But hopefully these teams helped you guys out. If they did, let me know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, don't forget to belt the like button for me. If you are new to the channel or you haven't done so already, hit that big red subscribe button. Most importantly, though, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later!